Good afternoon. Thank you so much for coming here and for welcoming even somebody from London. That's great. I was trying to think of what my connection with Newcastle is, and the only thing I can think of was back in 2008 I was on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, hosted by your very own Anton Deck. And whatever we think about what's happened recently, you know, on a personal level, you know, we should really think about Anton Deck because they're going through a difficult time and show them that we still support them despite the difficulty that they're in. So the difficulty that we had with the original referendum is people didn't know the full story, and we still don't know the full story. We won't know the full story until the negotiation has happened. And I talk about the original referendum campaign because as it becomes clearer and clearer that neither side in the original campaign knew really what the full consequences were going to be, it becomes clearer and clearer to me that once we do know the full story, that people should decide exactly what they want. Do they want to stay in the European Union, or do they want to leave once they know the whole facts? You see, when I was a police officer, I was a police officer for over 30 years. And when I was a police officer, I never trusted politicians. And now I'm a politician, I still don't trust politicians. At least I don't trust them to make the decision whether we should leave the European Union or not. I think we, the people, should make that decision. So I want to talk about something that I know a lot about and something that I've talked to colleagues about, and that is the situation regarding security and policing regarding the European Union. I don't know whether you saw the Home Affairs Select Committee report this week. It says that we're risking sleepwalking into crisis unless we do a deal with the EU around those issues. And I've talked to colleagues in the National Crime Agency, the experts in dealing with these issues, and they're very concerned that we will be less safe and less secure if we leave the European Union than we are now. And I just want to give you a couple of examples of that. And the first one is the European arrest warrant. So, for example, if a German national committed a serious crime here in Newcastle, a rape, for example, and then went back to Germany, at the moment, the German constitution says they will not extradite one of their own people to a non-EU country. Now, of course, Germany, the EU 27, Britain, doesn't want any of us to be less safe or less secure. But is it going to be legally and constitutionally possible to have the same arrangements that we do now? Are Germany going to change their constitution to say, well, we'll extradite people to other European Union countries, and we'll change it so the UK can be included in that even though they're outside? I don't think so. And the problem is, as far as the European arrest warrant is concerned, if you take Norway, for example, 10 years ago they started negotiating with the EU to be part of the European arrest warrant. They successfully negotiated it, but 10 years later it still has not been implemented. And they're a member of the European Economic Area. They're a member of the Schengen area, the passportless movement of people between different countries. Imagine how long it's going to take for a non-EU, non-EEA, non-Schengen country like the United Kingdom outside of the European Union to get an agreement on something as helpful and as useful as the European arrest warrant. We are going to be less safe from foreign criminals if we leave the European Union. At the moment, because we're a member of the European Union, we can share information about suspected terrorists and suspected serious criminals between police forces. So our colleagues here from the local police, they can do a check on their computer system, and it will show up if that person they're checking on is wanted or suspected of any offence in any other European Union country. But in order to continue to exchange that sort of information, the UK will continue to have to comply with European data protection standards. And there's a bill currently going through the Parliament at the moment where this Brexit government are trying desperately to make sure that UK data protection law is in line with EU law, in the hope that we will still be able to exchange that information. Now that is in danger, and I'll tell you why it's in danger, because European Union countries are exempt from data protection standards around national security. So if it's a case of national security, you can do anything you like. But of course, if we leave the European Union, we are not going to be an EU country, and suddenly all our data protection issues around national security are going to come under scrutiny from the European Union. So the only way we can continue to exchange this very important information about wanted criminals and suspected terrorists is if we comply with data protection standards set by the European Union. If we leave, we will have no say in what those data protection standards are in the future. And at the moment, they have no say in our national security. But if we want to continue to have that relationship with them after we leave the EU, then we are going to have to comply with their data standards around national security as well. I thought this was supposed to be about taking back control, not giving it away. And that's what's going to happen if we're not very careful. The more we understand about what the consequences are going to be about leaving the European Union, the more it makes absolutely no sense to leave the EU. Brexit, is it worth it? The answer is no. We would be absolutely nuts to leave the European Union. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.